Coming up on Newscene, we'll show you an investigative report on the risk of online predators.
NFL teams drafted young stars to see who will become big names. More on sports.
And the animated band Gorillaz dropped another album today. We'll give you the taste of humans in entertainment.
And the Santa Ana Winds are back. What the Winds have in store for us this weekend. Newscene starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Newscene. I'm Luzelia Caballero.
And I'm Jack D'Amicis. Breaking news, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson made a call for action on North Korea at a special UN security meeting this morning. Tillerson urged that now was the time to stop North Korea as they continued working on their nuclear program, saying that the time for strategic patience is over. The call to action came after President Trump warned that there were chances of a major conflict with North Korea, but President Trump admitted he preferred to avoid conflict through peaceful means.
And last week, we told you about InternetReputation.com, a third-party arbitrator listed on a website called Predators Watch.
In part 2 of our story, we dig a little deeper to find out more about how these companies operate. Vince Vangela has more.
This is the website predatorswatch.com, where we found 14 local journalists slandered with their names and faces plastered on the site labeled as sex offenders.
We just absolutely went off. We were so angry.
We tracked down a guy named Matt, who wouldn't give us his last name or his official title at InternetReputation.com. His site is listed on Predators Watch as a place where victims can go to get the bad stuff erased, for a fee. Matt insists everything they do is legitimate and claims they make no profit off these transactions. He also adds that they plan to get their site disconnected from Predators Watch. What we really wanted to know was, what did InternetReputation.com mean with this post left on the San Diego Free Press's website, where they say their pricing is based on an arbitrary number quoted to them by PredatorsWatch.com and other websites.
Once we get enough people to them and they start responding and they realize that there is something there, then yes, they will tell us whatever it is, and then we'll come back and we'll have that be the established price for it. Now, if that changes in the future or if anything along those lines, we don't control that price point.
We asked San Diego criminal defense attorney Lindsay Mercer what she thought about this type of practice. Keep in mind, she's not representing anyone in this case.
Regardless of whether they're working with the person that's posting it, chances are it's all interconnected. And if you follow the trail, I bet there is a connection. But even not, they're still profiting in a way that I don't think legally they should.
Still, Internet Reputation sees themselves as a viable service that does not exploit the victims of these cyber attacks, but instead is helping them clear their good name.
Would you rather have an option to get the information down or not have any options whatsoever and that information just stays up there forever?
I mean, they're basically making you pay for a service you shouldn't have to pay for. I mean, that's where you could make the argument that that falls into the level of extortion.
Exactly a month after these fake posts first appear, they're still up, and these victims are still attacked every time somebody simply searches their name. With Newscene, I'm Vince Vangela.
We've reached out to various state and federal law enforcement agencies to see if they are looking into this. We've been told information is coming.
And if you're a victim of online slander, Lindsay Mercer says you should immediately contact the offending website and file a report with law enforcement. Now, as of now, there's no motive for these attacks. Newscene, of course, will keep you up to date as soon as new developments come in.
Bill O'Reilly is speaking out after being let go from the Fox network on the sexual assault allegations. Still denying the claims, he promises to make a strong comeback with his old podcast, No Spin News, where he will further elaborate on the situation surrounding his leave.
I am sad that I'm not on television anymore. I was very surprised how it all turned out. I can't say a lot because there's much stuff going on right now. But I can tell you that I'm very confident that truth will come out. And when it does, I don't know if you're going to be surprised, but I think you're going to be shaken, as I am. There's a lot of stuff involved here.
Bill O'Reilly plans to make the podcast a platform to launch his career.
And this past weekend, President Trump revealed his new tax plan over Twitter, and on Wednesday, he revealed some of his proposed tax changes. The plan aims to slash corporate tax rates down to 15%, also reducing the number of tax brackets from 7 to just 3, and doubling the individual standard deduction. Now, the Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center estimated it would reduce federal revenue by $7.2 trillion over the first decade. The current U.S. debt is almost $20 trillion.
This will pay for itself with growth and with reduction of different deductions and closing loopholes.
Moderates will sign on to the changes, or how soon they'll
The president's advisor argues it will pay for itself, but most economists just simply disagree. This could pose a problem for the president when he faces Congress later.
President Trump appears to be backing off his proposed border wall in an effort to avoid a government shutdown, which means his spending bill will not include the money to fund the wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. This, after it was made apparent Congress was not going to pass the bill with the border wall funding plan in it. White House Counselor Kellyanne Conway says that although building the wall is a priority for the president, it's something that can be done later down the road. President Trump has also tweeted out saying the wall will get built.
Meantime, the San Diego-based strike group, the USS Carl Vinson, began drills with 2 Japanese destroyers earlier this week. The joint drills took place in the western Pacific Ocean. Both Japanese destroyers are taking part in tactical training drills with the U.S. carrier near the Philippines. This comes as the U.S. Air Force also tested an unarmed ballistic missile in what could be seen as a message to North Korea. Now, officials say the launch and drills were both a success and an important demonstration of our nation's nuclear deterrent capability.
Facebook Live is under the spotlight again this week after international backlash for its live video service. During a Facebook live stream, a man in Thailand took the life of his 11-month-old daughter and after ending the stream, later took his own. The controversy revolves around the fact that the video was available and playable on Facebook for 24 hours after the stream had ended. When asked about the incident, Facebook said there is no place on social media for these kinds of acts. They have not disclosed the timeline of how they discovered the video's content. This raises new questions in the era of social media. How can live streams be censored, and how can Facebook improve their response time?
And coming up after the break, learn what Ice Age findings may rewrite human history as we know it.
NBA playoff brackets are getting filled. More in sports.
It's harder whenever there's a bigger group. Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
Here's Celia Jimenez with an exciting discovery that happened right here in San Diego. Celia?
You're right, Lucelia. We have a groundbreaking archaeological research that is changing what we know about the arrival of the first humans in the Americas. After 25 years of waiting and with the help of advanced dating methods, researchers are suggesting humans came to the Americas over 100,000 years earlier than they thought. Back in the early 90s, Richard Ceruri and a group of researchers started a paleontological work during the Freeway 54 expansion in San Diego. They found unusual broken bones and rocks with dents and abrasions in their Mastodon site, suggesting the evidence of human activity. Daniel Fisher stated the evidence is consistent.
I feel I would be intellectually dishonest to turn away from this and say, well, it can't be human activity only because it's too old. No, it's exactly the same as we see in the best cases where we argue for human activity.
To prove early humans were present, they conducted experiments using elephants' bones, obtaining similar results to to the samples from the site. Before this research, scientists believed the first humans came to the Americas around 14,000 years ago. These new findings show modern humans weren't the first ones to arrive to North America and open the doors to different theories. The Cerruti Mastodon site is the oldest and most researched archaeological site in the Americas. The San Diego Natural History Museum is exhibiting the findings, and we'll have a panel with the authors to discuss the research tomorrow. The event is sold out, but you can still register to watch it live at the museum's website. I didn't get a ticket, but I want to watch it from home, so that's all I have for you guys. Back to you at the desk.
I also want to watch it from home. Thank you, Celia. Well, our very own Crystal Miranda has won the Radio and Television Department's Hope Shaw Memorial Scholarship, but that's not all she won. She was also awarded 2 scholarships, one from the San Diego chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists, and the other from the National Association of Hispanic Journalists. Now, Crystal aspires to become a radio journalist, and of course, we wish her the very best.
The language department at San Diego City College is having a great weekend. A great show this week. In their annual showcase, all the different programs came out to introduce students to other languages and cultures. Students had the opportunity to learn about these classes in the festive environment at the AH Quad. There was art, music, and even some food. Most importantly, there was good conversation, exposure to culture programs offered at City College. If you are interested in learning a language, go to the counselor office and see what classes are offered here for you.
Meantime, hundreds of students and members of the community will join forces on Monday at City College to kick off the May Day March. The rally is a protest against unlawful deportations, the border wall, recent travel bans, and hate, among other things. The march will start by the B building on campus, where people will be able to make some signs and enjoy student performances. The demonstration will then continue down to the Federal Building and ultimately end at Chicano Park.
ESPN, a major media giant, made extreme cuts and layoffs this week. Matthew Powers explains.
ESPN is known as the hub for anything and everything sports news related. But both longtime fans and employees were shocked on Wednesday morning when ESPN's president, John Skipper, announced in a memo that nearly 100 layoffs of both on-air talent as well as production staff had been in the works. Big names quickly took to Twitter to announce their standing at the mega sports media company. Among these names include former New York Giants quarterback and ESPN radio talk show host Danny Kanell. Others include Ed Werder, who had been with ESPN for 17 years. Most of the hockey reporters were wiped out entirely, and baseball reporters, like Jason Stark, were left hanging out to dry as well. The headline layoffs, although anticipated, came in much larger numbers, far sooner than expected. Shows like Baseball Tonight, which sometimes ran twice a day, has now been dwindled to a weekly show before Sunday Night Baseball. It has been no secret that Fox Sports has been vying for the top spot in which ESPN held for so long. In addition, the fees ESPN had to pay to obtain their broadcasting rights began to exceed the total revenue received from the subscription base for ESPN. Just last year, ESPN signed a contract with the NBA in order to secure coverage through the 2024 and 2025 season, costing just about $2.66 billion a year. Disney, ESPN's parent company, invested $1 billion on a 33% stake in MLB's BAMTech, a live streaming specialist. ESPN also used this to justify all of the layoffs, saying they wanted their employees to be versatile and to be able to be used in a cross-platform setting. ESPN is branding this as their content evolution strategy, making their ultimate goal to capitalize on both the sports market and to maximize every technological medium they can in order to build and maintain their subscribers. Matthew Powers, Newscene.
Very informative, Matt. Thank you. With these cuts being made to ESPN, we will focus on the efforts on working with smaller talent pools and diminishing cost while increasing viewership.
And speaking of, there are lots of things going on in the sports world this week, from City College to the NFL. Marissa Gonzalez joins us with the latest on the NFL draft.
Thanks, guys. Football fans all over the country hosted parties, flocked to sports bars, all to see who their favorite NFL team drafted. Here's a look at how that played out.
With the first pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Myles Garrett, defensive end, Texas A&M.
Myles Garrett, the 6'4" pass-rushing defensive end, was not surprisingly the first overall pick.
With the second pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Mitchell Trubisky, quarterback, North Carolina.
The Chicago Bears traded up with the 49ers to pick up the quarterback, and the Trubisky pick came as a surprise as most did not expect the one-year quarterback starter in college to be picked early on, but he is thought to be a solid performer. The 49ers right after that take defensive line Solomon Thomas out of Stanford as the 3rd overall pick as the Niners look to rebuild their defense.
With the 4th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Leonard Fournette, running back, LSU.
Fournette ran for nearly 2,000 yards and 22 touchdowns in his sophomore year and is a top running back. Wide receiver Corey Davis from Western Michigan is selected 5th overall by the Titans, and the Chargers, for their first draft based in Los Angeles, selected Mike Williams 7th. An emotional pick came when Takaris McKinley was selected 26th overall by the Falcons. The Pittsburgh Steelers selected J.J. Watt's younger brother, T.J. Watt, 30th overall. While the linebacker will need time to develop, there's a Christmas Day matchup with the Steelers taking on his older brother's Houston Texans that's calling his name. Rounds 2 and 3 of the draft are continuing this evening. On to our play of the week, we head to the hardwood as the Spurs go on the road to close out the series against the Grizzlies in Game 6. Heading to the end of the first half, Grizzlies' Mike Conley sets himself up for this nice 3 right here. And later on in the 3rd, Kawhi Leonard passes it to Aldridge for the slam. And with the game tied at 69, Leonard driving it to the rim to Gasol, back to Ginobili for the 3 with the foul. The bench is going crazy, 4-point play, and Leonard will try to score and gets robbed as he comes around, gets robbed by Vince Carter, who runs it down and finds his teammate Mike Conley in the corner with the open 3. He will take the shot and it is good. Later on in the 4th, Spurs down by 4, Kawhi with the 3 to close the gap. And Grizzlies up by 1, Conley with the ball goes into the lane and hits that floater. And with less than a minute left in the game, Kawhi looking for a shot, finds Tony Parker, who gets in there, knocks down this jumper to put the game away. The Spurs go on to win 103-96 and face the Houston Rockets in the next round of the playoffs. And that wraps it up for sports this week. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Marissa. And here at Newscene, we would like to send our condolences to the family and friends of Nate Edwards. Edwards was a student athlete who tragically took his own life last week. Nate was a part of the men's basketball championship team at San Diego City College. The news about his passing has saddened many here on campus. Edwards is described as a friend who was always looking out to help others and had a personality that brought joy and smiles to the ones around him. The family has established a GoFundMe page to help for funeral expenses. Now his mom is hoping Nate's story will encourage those who need help to seek it. There is a crisis hotline open 24 hours, 7 days a week. City College also has a free mental health counseling center available for students and their friends and family.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Another vote from the San Diego Unified School District will determine the fate of more than 2,000 jobs. This, the latest proposal from the district that means all library technicians of the middle and high schools will be laid off. These jobs are cutting costs and remaining technicians to have their hours severely reduced. The district believes that these cuts are needed because the union represents the technicians is not approving a reduced work year.
And experience the Roaring 20s style of jazz right here on campus this weekend. The award-winning musical Chicago is this year's theater production by the San Diego City College Drama Department. Now, this rendition of the famous musical, which mixes in murder, mystery, and love, will open tonight at 8 p.m. at the Seville Theater. Tickets will also be available for tomorrow at 8 p.m. and on Sunday at 2 p.m. just in case you wanted to go. And by the way, general admission tickets are $15 and $10 for students, seniors, and military members.
And here's Miguel Espinoza with what's hot in the box office this weekend.
Thanks, Jack. Well, How to Be a Latin Lover and The Circle both came out today, and those movies are looking very promising. Starting off with some spicy Latin and a little lovin', How to Be a Latin Lover is a comedy film about a man named Maximo who gets divorced from a wealthy 80-year-old woman. Maximo tries to bounce back up by planning a scheme to seduce a billionaire widow in order to live his luxurious lifestyle once again. If you're looking for a more serious film, The Circle offers a star-studded cast playing very serious roles. The film follows May Holland, played by Emma Watson, who works in a technology company that pushes the limits of privacy, ethics, and personal freedom. Now on to some fashion. We first met Jeremy Meeks, aka Prison Bae, on a viral Facebook post where his mugshot received over 100,000 likes and 12,000 Facebook shares. He was serving a sentence for felony weapons charges. Upon release, he signed with Blaze Models. After appearing in the New York Fashion Week in February, he was recently invited to the UK for a release party for his first British magazine cover. He was denied entry by the British authorities, who can refuse entry for anyone who has been sentenced to at least 12 months but less than 4 years in prison. Despite that, he's still a rising star. Now, if you're a fan of heavy metal genre, it's time to bust out that old denim jacket, grow out your hair, and raise those devil horns. The legendary metal band Iron Maiden is finally going on a world tour for their most recent album, The Book of Souls. The kickoff for their tour starts tomorrow in Frankfurt, Germany, and in May, June, and July, they will be taking care of America. And if you live in San Diego and don't want to miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime event, you can catch them at the AT&T Theater in San Bernardino, July 1st. Now let's give a listen and bob our heads to this song called Andromeda by the Gorillaz' newest album.
Who even knows the truth? The truth.
Now, if you recognize that song, you're definitely excited because the Gorillaz have finally released their highly anticipated album called Humans. The album Humans is featuring a very wide variety of features from new artists to veterans in the music scene. Some artist features include Vince Staples, De La Soul, Danny Brown, and Big Baby Drum. Yeah, that's right. And there's also 20 other artists on that album. There are 21 tracks in the regular edition and 26 in the deluxe edition, making this a very hefty album release. The album in its entirety will be performed by the Gorillaz' very own Demon Days Festival held in Margate, England on March 10th. Now that's all the entertainment I have for you. Let's head back to Jack and Lou's.
Thank you, Miguel. Now, coming up after the break, we'll see a local hero get a prestigious award along with some great jazz music.
And Gabriel Salazar has the latest on the Santa Ana winds hitting this weekend.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome back to Newscene. Wednesday marked the final phase for the 13-year visit of the Cassini spacecraft. Now, this craft used the gravity of Saturn's moon, Titan, to bend its path towards the planet. Cassini crossed the ring plane as it moved across Saturn. The gap between Saturn and its rings is about 1,500 miles wide. The spacecraft sent back photos of Saturn's atmosphere along with a storm in the shape of a hexagon in the planet's north pole. Stay tuned on NASA's social media for the new incoming data of Saturn from Cassini in its final mission days.
Now, Gabriel Salazar joins us with what we can expect from the Santa Ana winds to bring us.
Thanks, guys. Here in San Diego, gusty winds are expected to develop this evening and extend into the weekend. The National Weather Service posted a wind advisory for the valleys, mountains, and deserts that will remain from 10 p.m. tonight till 2 p.m. on Saturday. The winds may cause problems for drivers, especially those operating high-profile vehicles. Now let's talk about the Santa Ana setup. What makes it especially unique is the downsloping effect from the mountains. You have winds coming in from the east, and it actually accelerates as it comes down the mountain, and as a result, increases the threats of wildfires. So definitely something we need to watch out for. Now moving our way into our current San Diego temperatures. Looks like it's going to be a pretty average day throughout San Diego County. Oceanside to Vista area is going to range from the mid-60s to high 70s. La Jolla, Kearney Mesa area is going to stay in the mid-60s. Moving our way down to IB, Chula Vista area is going to stay in the mid-60s to high 60s. And moving our way inland, Julian Ramona area is going to range from the mid-50s to the mid-60s. And moving our way to our weekend weather forecast. Looks like it's going to be a really nice weekend, 0% chance of precipitation throughout the weekend. Tonight is going to be highs in the mid-70s, lows in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, Saturday, is going to be sunny throughout the day. Highs are going to be in the mid-80s, lows are going to be in the low 50s. And moving our way to Sunday, it's going to be sunny throughout the day as well. Highs in the low 80s and lows in the mid-50s. And finally, Monday is going to be sunny throughout the day as well. And highs are going to be in the mid-70s and lows are going to be the mid-50s. And that's all I have for this weather forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Gabe. And that just about wraps up this episode of Newscene. Thank you so much for joining us.
Be sure to tune in next week for our latest local, national, and international news.
And before we actually let you go tonight, we want to say congratulations to jazz musician Gilbert Castellanos, who was honored by the City of San Diego for his contributions to jazz music and music education.
I'm completely overwhelmed, and it's so surreal. And I mean, I'm deeply honored, and I strongly feel that this award is not really for me. It's for our city. It's for our music community.
This is a big deal, and it's not only because he's a great musician, and he is a great musician, but it's all about what he does for the community and how he reaches out to kids. All these people that you're seeing perform here have come up through the International Academy of Jazz or through the Young Lions program, and Gilbert is like this super inspiration. It's time that the world acknowledges what a treasure Gilbert Castellanos is, especially to our community here.